Suzie, warm welcome to Wealth Talk today.
Hi, Christian. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you on with us. And Suzie, we actually kind of connected, not directly, but through one of your team members at the recent BizX event, where there were over 1,500 business owners, and that was run by Action Coach. That was a fantastic event, and we got chatting there, and it was just so fascinating to discuss the possibilities for a business owner to start franchising and looking at that model. And then we had a chat, and we thought we have to get you on Wealth Talk to tell our listeners a bit more about this.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I always love chatting about all things franchising, as anybody that knows me knows only too well. So delighted to be here today. Thank you.
Yeah, and you come with some experience, right? I believe over 20 years worth of franchising experience behind you.
Yeah, I started in the wonderful world of franchising at the tender age of 23. And never did I ever think I would build what went on to be these multi-million pound businesses through this thing called franchising. So looking forward to chatting more about that with you today.
Yeah, and you're the CEO and the founder of Platinum Wave, which is the largest independent franchise consultancy, I believe. So, tell us a little bit about what you do at Platinum Wave to begin with.
Yeah, so we're accredited by the British Franchise Association, and what we do is we help businesses of all sizes, literally all sizes, from corporates to small companies looking to scale up in all kinds of sectors, food, retail, professional services, beauty, leisure, education, children's activities, you name it, really scale up their businesses, realize their brand potential and value through the vehicle of franchising. So really helping businesses who are serious about growth, who are already a proven and profitable concept, grow basically and expand through franchising.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's so many benefits for a
Yeah.
business owner to do that. Obviously, at Wealth Builders, we talk about the ability to create kind of sustainable, predictable, recurring income in your business. And I'm
Yeah.
sure by franchising and having those franchisee fees, that's one recurring income stream that obviously is a reliable stream.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many advantages to franchising your business. And I think one of the first things that people always say to me is, I'm not franchising, no way, no one can do it like me. When actually I prove with my own businesses that I franchised over the years that if you set up really good systems and procedures and provide really good training and support and really provide a culture of collaboration, then you can actually have franchisees outperform anything you ever did yourself. So it's a really powerful growth tool, but franchising has got to be a win-win. Unless your franchisees make money and are happy and engaged and profitable, then you'll never become a good franchising company. But by the means, of setting up a franchising company, how you do generate this additional income and build this additional wealth is selling franchises on a local level, direct to individual franchisees, where you would attract initial franchise fees and then these ongoing royalty fees, management fees, which are typically a percentage of the franchisee's turnover. But that is when you're just doing single territory franchising to single franchisees, when actually there's a massive culture of multi-unit development now here in the UK especially, where people will be interested in developing multiple territories as opposed to just one, but also where the real fun begins and where I realized my personal growth potential through franchising was international franchising, when you start to be selling country licenses to entities or funded and experienced individuals to take your brand to their country and roll that out at serious scale under a master franchise or area developer model. So
Yeah.
lots of growth potential through franchising.
Yeah. And I can see that it makes so much sense to do that, because
Mhm.
if you don't have that local knowledge of other territories and the
Yeah.
connections and all the other things that go with that, you're tapping into that experience through the franchising model there.
Yeah, I mean, when I went international, that was case in point. I developed into Dominican Republic, Kuwait, into Portugal and Spain. I didn't speak the languages in most of these countries, let alone be able to manage my own corporately owned development there on a daily basis. So having partners who were out there, who were fully immersed in the market, who were experienced at either rolling out other franchise brands or other businesses and brands, that was a really powerful way to grow my business out there.
Yeah. And when we spoke the other day, Susie, you told me this is now estimated to be a £20 billion industry, or is that dollar industry?
And that's a £20 billion industry. In the
Wow.
next sort of couple of years, I think it's sitting at about 17.2 billion at the moment. So,
Yeah.
and that's just, you know, it just shows you the power of franchising, but how wildly underestimated it is as a growth strategy. You know, I'm always talking to people about franchising, and you know, my last 23 years of industry experience, you know, the last 10 years in the UK especially is really where I've seen franchising actually coming into its own. You know, it's not got the reputation that it potentially has before. You're seeing lots of good brands making really good success of franchising here. But really interestingly, in the last sort of couple of years, we're seeing a lot of international brands now coming into the UK, which is really exciting. Big brand names, your Wendy's, your Ben and Jerry's, your, you know, big restaurant and quick service restaurant brands, and more. So it's certainly an industry that's there, alive and kicking, with plenty of growth potential. And I think the other thing we're noticing more and more is, you know, in terms of the people who are buying a franchise and investing into a franchise. I think the last study that was done by the NatWest Bank and the British Franchise Association, massive percentage of those that were actually buying franchises are coming from employment. So this is people who are sick of the rat race, sick of being restructured, at risk of redundancy again, and they're really looking at ways to get into a new industry, but pretty fast, where they've then got, you know, the support on an ongoing basis. So, you know, we help people find franchises through what we do at Platinum Wave, and it's amazing to see the vehicle to help people change their life, you know, in terms of work-life balance, financial wealth, and all these types of things that come with it.
Yeah, because we know building a business isn't easy, right? If you're starting from scratch, especially if you're coming out of employment and perhaps
Yeah,
you've always had that team, that network, that structure around you, and then
yeah,
suddenly you turn into the entrepreneur who has to wear all the hats and have all of these skills suddenly, and that's tough, and that's probably why the rate of business failure is high in the UK. But you know, when you're buying into a franchise, you've already got that support system, you've got that
yeah,
structure. So
yeah,
you know, tell us about what does that process look like for someone who's maybe listening now? Maybe, as you say, they're in the rat race. They just
yeah,
literally, you know, really want to have something that they have more control over. How would
yeah.
they come to you? And what's the general kind of, you know, process and time frame for someone to assess the different opportunities and then to be able to actually get going?
Yeah, so it can be quite a journey for a lot of people. You know, it's not normally an instant decision of I need to leave and I want to buy a franchise in this sector. Quite often, what we do at Platinum Wave is help people figure out what that next step looks like. We had a great case study recently, which was my little sister, believe it or not, working for 20 odd years for one of the major banks, had a bit of an illness, and had gone back and decided that actually she should be doing something else that gave her greater work-life balance, and had no idea as a business analyst what she was going to be doing in terms of her next career, her next project, whatever. As it happened, we worked through her passions, her likes, her dislikes, her, her earnings expectations, and all these things. And she's now gone into a home design franchise, which satisfies her passion for interior design, but also potentially provides the return on investment that she's looking for. So that's just one story. And you know, we had another great success story at the start of the year when somebody had bought a franchise, a courier franchise 10 years ago for £25,000, had come from a completely different background, didn't know anything about courier franchises or anything like that. We helped them sell that 10 years later. 10 years later, they sold that for just over £1 million. And that's a 3,000 odd % return for somebody who got into an industry that was completely new. So that's given them, for this particular person, their retirement, which is great.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mention some numbers there. I mean, perhaps in the past, has there been a perception perhaps that it costs a lot of money to get into franchising, and has that changed? And is there different ways of funding that now for people?
Yeah, so I mean, the rule of thumb is the higher the franchise fee, the higher the investment, the longer it takes to get a return, but the higher that return potentially is. So a lot of the food franchises, for example, you buy into a franchise for 15, 20,000 pounds, but your investment on fit out, equipment, stock, working capital could be up to sort of 350 to 500,000. That return on investment, you'd be looking to make that back within sort of 3.5 to 4 years kind of thing. But, if you have a cluster of units like that, that's quite a substantial portfolio to be selling. Whereas there's people who are buying into things like children's activity franchises for £10,000. But actually, through working a part-time flexible model, they've still got the potential, some of these children's activity franchises, to turn a six-figure sum with really good profits. So, but you can get that normally over a faster period. So, it's quite interesting, in terms of the different opportunities that are out there and the different levels of investment that are there. But generally, people will sign a 5-year franchise agreement. So you're looking for people to actually be, making a turn on that business within sort of 3 years, making a profit within the first year to year and a half, and bringing home some decent profits within 3 years.
Yeah. And if people are looking at, traditional sources of funding, like going to speak to a bank, I mean, how are they seeing the franchise model these days?
Yeah, so banks love franchising, and I think I can talk on behalf of most of the major banks out there. They've all got dedicated franchise teams. So whether it be HSBC, NatWest, Lloyds, Barclays, they all have dedicated franchise divisions who will help fund franchise businesses. They tend to love franchise businesses because there's a higher success rate than businesses starting alone. And just referring back to that study I mentioned at the start that was run by the NatWest Bank and the BFA, British Franchise Association, when they actually surveyed the franchisees in the last survey, 90% of them reported as being profitable. That's a massive success rate compared to starting business alone, which again is one of the reasons why banks love franchising. So, the banks will always look for you to have some skin in the game. They won't just fund 100%. Depending on the franchise, they'll lend higher amounts, up to 75% or more. But there is definitely support for this model out there to help. And obviously, if it's asset-based or requires a fit-out or equipment or vehicles, there's a whole range of alternative finance brokers and companies out there that also recognise franchising.
Yeah. And in terms of your own wealth building, Suzie, we talk about diversifying, and I know that, you're now setting up different companies, you're looking at different areas. You've obviously got a background in recruitment as well. You've touched on that a little bit. So tell us a bit more about how this, has expanded now to help you start to generate recurring income streams from different areas.
Yeah, so as I said before, I started my first business at 23, and never did I ever dream that I'd build these multi-million pounds through franchising. But actually, my first business was a cartridge refilling business, so not at all cool or sexy, but it was obviously a sector that had potential. Franchise that had about 70 franchises in 6 different countries by the time I was 30. Exited that at 30, and that gave me the means to then do it all over again. So this time I did it with recruitment agencies, built that into about a 30 million network by the time I was 33 and sold that. That then gave me the means to go say, well, at 33, what do you want to do with your life? You're too young to retire and all these things. So I decided to set up Platinum Wave Franchising, which was now 12 years ago, as a vehicle to help others do what I've done, but with real hands-on practical advice, somebody who's physically done it, at scale, and at different countries, etc. So we started off with our consultancy firm, but then we branched into a marketing agency to the franchise industry. Then we branched into a recruitment agency to the franchise industry. Property is our next thing, hot off the case for the franchise industry. But it's also encouraged me to sit on the board of other franchisor companies and share my experience to help them grow. But it's also then opened another opportunity for me to sit on the board of a large company who buys quick service restaurant brands, where I've been able to go in, buy shares on behalf of this company that I'm involved with of other brands and really help them scale up through the vehicle of franchising as well. So it's, franchising has helped me build all of these portfolios around me that are servicing the same industry. Obviously, the spin-off of that is the cash that you generate, and what you then do with that. And people always say, how do you invest that? How do you personally invest that? Well, obviously, in other businesses is one way of doing that. Pensions is another, which is really funny. My husband's a financial advisor, and because I was, putting my money into businesses from a young age, I didn't really have the pension that most people would enjoy, but it's let me ramp that up, which is an important part of my portfolio. Dabbling in crypto, which is just a little guilty pleasure on the side, and the property side of things. So there's lots of different ways that I've now been able to build my portfolios around me.
Yeah, excellent. Multiple pillars there that we talk about with our members. And I guess the other thing, for a lot of people that are trading time for money in a job, or even sometimes within their business, if they haven't systemized it, is, the freedom and the time and being able to choose, how you spend your life and the lifestyle. And you're a busy woman, Suzie. I can see, all of the things you're doing, and, you're winning awards and, multiple businesses there, but, you still are in control, right? So at the end of the day, hopefully you have got a lifestyle that you're choosing there, and there's a balance between, work and play.
Yeah, somebody once told me, it was my first job when I was 13 and a half, and I worked in a golf course. And then as I got old enough, I worked in the bar, and I had a boss at this golf course who once told me, Suzie, it's all about people. And how right was that man? You cannot build a business by yourself. You need people around you, good people around you, to build businesses. And that's why you can spread your portfolios and you can spread your business interest if you get those dream teams around you. And it's actually a personal passion of mine, is building teams that are empowered to buy into the dream, that are incentivized to buy into the dream, and that will run with it like it's their own. And that's the secret to good business, is getting those great people around you that really buy into it,
Yeah, couldn't agree more. So Suzie, looking forward then, over the next year or perhaps a little bit longer, what's on the horizon for you and, franchising industry as a whole?
Yeah, so franchising is exciting. It's just, for Platinum Wave, it's just, focusing on getting bigger and bigger and bringing on more team members, developing those other revenue streams, so that we have this platform company where our clients don't need to step out of our bubble for any related service that we can provide to them. So for us personally, very excited about the months and the years ahead there. In terms of the industry, it's only getting stronger. You're seeing more and more corporates looking at franchising, which is great to see, as well as more smaller companies really starting to recognize franchising. So that's really quite exciting. In terms of my portfolio, I've always got my eye out for the next thing that can be franchised, and that's just in my blood, unfortunately. So I think that's whatever that might be. I'm not quite sure.
Good. Well, we'll definitely look forward to the updates in the future. And Suzie, if someone is interested to find out more, what's the next step? How can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so we would love to speak to anybody that's interested in just finding out more about franchising in general, whether it's franchising your business or maybe getting into a new industry by investing in a franchise. We run free webinars on both all the time. So just drop us a line at Suzie, that's Suzie, at platinumwave.co.uk, or check out our website, www.platinumwave.co.uk. And we're always delighted to have coffees and chats with anybody wanting to learn more about franchising.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on and speaking on Wealth Talk today, Suzie.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Eddie, welcome to Wealth Talk. Good to have you on today.
Hi, Chris.
So, Eddie, you've just recently joined as a WealthBuilders Academy member. Great to have you, part of the community. What was it that drew you towards us?
Just looking at ways to obviously build my wealth and a little bit of legacy, obviously for the children. So it was something that I got exposed to, watched a few podcasts, and thought, yeah, there's a lot of good value here. So, and here I am today.
Straight into it. Yeah, there you go. Benefits of being a member, hey?
Yeah, definitely.
Good. Well, it's great to have you on because, we actually did your induction call just a week or so back.
It was.
And, it was really fascinating because you have built a business out of franchising model.
Yes.
And, this is perfect timing. So we thought, let's find out more about how you've done it and really hear, what the reality is like. So tell us first and foremost about your business, Progressive Sports. What do you do?
So here at Progressive Sports, we're all about inspiring and encouraging children to be physically active. We do that through the engagement that we do with schools, primarily working with primary schools. So that's anything from, PE lessons, supporting teachers, supporting the school with their vision for their school, PE and sport, and everything in between, really. We're just about getting kids active. So we do that obviously through the relationship we have with schools. We're also very active in our community as well. So we're currently on the Easter break at the moment. So we've got holiday courses, we've got weekly classes that we run, but it's all around that focus of engaging children in being active and inspiring them, encouraging them to do that. That is basically what we're all about, what we're all behind. So.
Yeah, really, really cool. And how many franchisees do you now have?
So we've got 22 franchised territories across the UK. That's covering sort of all the major cities. Got quite a good presence in the West Midlands, down in parts of London, Manchester, Cheshire, down in Bristol. So sort of the major cities we've got a presence in, and always actively recruiting. So if any listeners are interested.
Yeah. So take us back to the beginning then, Eddie, when it was just you. When was that? And kind of what inspired you to start the whole business at the beginning?
Yeah, the business started back in 2006, and my journey started that was working for organisations, doing what I've then obviously set Progressive Sports up to do. So had a bit of experience working with other companies. College, school, sport was my thing, getting active. So kind of followed that passion and turned it into a business and started Progressive Sports back in 2006. We've kind of grown year on year. We've grown with the sector. The sector's matured. There's a lot of opportunities in what we're doing. Schools are a lot more proactive in ways that they can get children active, and more structured activities are probably provided now than what they were sort of even when we started the business. The journey started back in 2006, and it's purely from a passion perspective. I was following what I was really passionate about, and then that has obviously developed and grown over the years into what is a reasonably successful business. So.
Yeah, well, isn't that the dream, right? Turning passion into profit. So, so at what point then did you start thinking about franchising your business?
Probably reasonably early on in that journey. We franchised the business or started to look at it in 2009. So 3 years into operating the business, we'd kind of doubled the turnover year on year. So we knew that we had a model that was working. I'd already been pre-exposed to franchising as well, because I am a franchisee as well as a franchisor. So those early days, I was used to how franchising worked. It was probably subconsciously always in the back of my head. And I always thought it was a way that we could actually grow the business. Obviously, franchising, you can get quicker growth. And obviously, we can grow with taking local people with local knowledge, local contacts. Kind of lent itself very well to what we wanted to do and my own growth plans for the business. So 2009 stroke 2010, but 2010 was the year that we took our first franchisee on.
And what were the steps that you first took then? So how did you go about understanding the process?
I engaged with a consultant. I believe they're still around, Franchise Development Services. They are a franchise business themselves. So I engaged the local consultant. I worked with him for probably around about 12 months. So there was a period of obviously getting everything ready, checking obviously the model worked, putting all the systems, processes. It's a really good exercise to do, even if you do not want to franchise your business, because you have to pick apart everything, build it back together, and be able to obviously put it into a teachable format that somebody can actually follow. All the legality that goes around, obviously, being able to market it and sell it as a franchise-based business. So yeah, and that process took around about 12 months from start to finish.
And who is the ideal franchisee now? So who's a perfect person if they're listening now that would really suit you?
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally for us, we want people that are passionate about getting children active. For us, that's our big driver. That's our purpose. So that has to be an underlying, part of their makeup really, and why they're looking at what we're doing. And then obviously alongside that, obviously we want people who've, willing to put in the hard work that it takes to run a business, not just a franchise business, any kind of business. And we want people with a bit of entrepreneurial flair as well, being able to seek out and spot opportunities, have that hunger and desire and that persistency that's needed to build a business, but all underpinned by their passion to actually, work in a sector which is about getting children active more often, which is really what our driver is, to be honest.
Yeah. And would you say that, taking on a franchise is sometimes good for people who don't have so much business background, because there's a structure, because there's training, there's a process, you've got the support. So you've kind of got everything you need there to be successful.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's one of the big attractions really, and why franchising does work, because obviously it does eliminate some risk, because obviously the franchisor and the other franchisees have built up a successful method of how to grow, develop the business. There's obviously those support networks in place, not just from the head office. You've obviously got the support of fellow franchisees. So it does minimize risk, and I think that's one of the reasons why it is very attractive, along with lots of other reasons why franchising does work.
Yeah. So it's been about 12 years now since you first took on your first franchisee there. How has it helped you to grow your business, Eddie? What are some of the differences it's made?
Yeah, I mean, it's taken the kind of growth that we experienced. It would have taken a lot longer organically. We got exposure to more schools, getting more children active, through obviously going down the franchising route. Less resources, less capital to a degree, because obviously, certainly, organically grown, you're going to take on a lot of sort of operating costs in terms of people and other costs that are associated with running a business. If you're going to go down that route, obviously franchising, all the day-to-day costs are taken care of by the franchisee. So yeah, in that respect, obviously it's worked really well for us, and it's something that we're still continuing to look at doing. There's many parts of the country that we don't have a presence in, so we're keen to obviously get into other parts of the UK, and what is a growing sector. The children's activity sector is growing year on year, and is maturing into a really good space to operate a business.
Yeah. And we know for any business owner, it's all about, managing cash flow. And I guess there's a predictability there because you've got that recurring income stream coming from the franchising fees.
Yeah, there is. There's that the reoccurring income that comes in from them. So obviously, if they're successful, you're successful. So we obviously need to put the right support and training and help in there to make sure that they're doing what they need to do to grow their business. That's incredibly important. But yeah, the margins are very healthy in that part of our business, due to the fact of a lot of the day-to-day costs are obviously taken care of by the franchisees. And we can see, gross profit would be around about 80%, and returning a net profit of around about 45%. So, our margins are very, very healthy from that respect.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you very much for sharing with us, Eddie. And obviously, we're looking forward to working with you now, so you can start diversifying, outside of the business pillar into some of the other wealth building pillars as well.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Chris.
All right. Thanks, Eddie.
Okay, cheers. Thanks a lot.